Hello everyone. Isaiah 42:8. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to another. Or, I am Yahweh, that is my name, and I will not give my glory to another. And there's a similar verse at Isaiah 48:11. For my own sake I will act, for how can my name be profaned, and my glory I will not give to another. Isaiah 48:11. Of these two passages, it's usually Isaiah 42:8 that is usually quoted by Trinitarians. And the key words in question are, I will not give my glory to another. And so the way Trinitarians interpret these words is something like this. God doesn't give his glory to anyone. His glory is only for himself. In other words, he refuses to give his glory to anyone and he keeps it for himself. And so what happens here is that Trinitarians will take note of verses like this. God who raised him from the dead and gave him glory, 1 Peter 1:21, in reference to Jesus. Jesus was crowned with glory and honor. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, has glorified his servant Jesus. And then we see Jesus praying in John 17, Now, Father, glorify me with yourself with the glory which I had with you before the world was. And so they stack up these verses and they conclude that Jesus has this glory, therefore Jesus is God. So if God won't give his glory to anyone else, Jesus can't be someone else. He must be that God who rightfully has this glory. That's basically the gist of the Trinitarian claim concerning Isaiah 42:8. However, there are a number of problems we can notice right at the outset. I'll just talk about one of them here. Notice what Jesus says in the same prayer. Now you, Father, glorify me alongside yourself. Okay? But then he goes on to say about his disciples, the glory which you have given me, I have given to them. So if Isaiah 42:8 means that God won't give his glory to anyone else besides himself, there's a problem here. Because Jesus says, the glory which you have given me, I have given to them, his disciples. And there are a number of other verses, other passages that illustrate that this Trinitarian claim has this kind of problem. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to another. Well, who said that? Who said that? Who spoke those words? Who is saying, I'm not giving my glory to anybody. It's mine. I don't give it to anybody else. Did the Father say that? Well, if the Father said that, it excludes Jesus. So you have to kind of do some kind of weird mental gymnastics in your head and suppose it's the triune God saying this, and somehow that can include Jesus, even though in Trinitarian doctrine, Jesus is not the triune God, and the triune God is not Jesus. That's true in their own doctrine. So if the triune God is saying this, it's not Jesus saying this. You see the problem there? But in their minds, they think they get to take their pick about who is speaking. This is very common in the Old Testament when it comes to Trinitarian world. Whenever they see God speaking or someone speaking about God, the Trinitarian mind seems to think that they can decide who specifically it's about by an act of their own will. So they get to take their pick. Oh, this is God the triune being. No, this verse is about God the Father. No, this verse is God the Son. And so they take their pick from these choices. And in Trinitarian doctrine, you have to realize these are all distinct identities. The Father is not the triune being, because the Father is not a three-person being in Trinitarian doctrine. The Father is not the Son. The Father is not the Holy Spirit. Jesus is not the triune being. Jesus is not the Father, etc., etc. These are all distinct identities. But Trinitarians think that by an act of their own will, they can take any given passage in the Old Testament and just say, oh, this one, it's number 2. And in this one, it's number 1. And they just do this. Whatever suits their doctrine. In Trinity world, you get to take your pick by an act of your own will. And then you'll say it's the context which determines specifically who is the speaker or who is being spoken about. But if you really observe what Trinitarians are saying, their context is really their own doctrine. Whatever suits their doctrine is how they choose one of these 4. And we'll see that that's true in this case as well. Who said this? I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to another. Well, if we go back and look at the immediate context, the preceding context, we see this. Behold my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen one, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. He will not cry out or raise his voice, nor make his voice heard in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not extinguish. He will faithfully bring forth justice. Isaiah 42, 1-4. Okay, just preceding Isaiah 42:8. And if you go through, you'll see it's the same speaker in verse 8 as here. Well, we know who the speaker is here from the Bible. We don't just randomly pick one of those 4 choices like Trinitarians do. We actually can find out who the speaker is. Because this passage is quoted by Matthew at Matthew 12:18-21 in reference to Jesus. And when you take a close look at that, you'll realize it has to be the Father speaking. And it's the Father speaking about Jesus and putting his Spirit upon Jesus. So we know the Father is speaking in Isaiah 42:8. The Bible tells us. So if we interpret this verse like Trinitarians do, we have to ask, so God the Father is refusing to give his glory to anyone else? You should be able to see right here, there's a big problem with the Trinitarian interpretation of Isaiah 42:8. If God the Father refuses to give his glory to anyone else, Jesus is someone else. In Trinitarian doctrine, Jesus is not the Father and the Father is not Jesus. The Father is one person and Jesus is someone else. So how could the Father say he won't give his glory to anyone else, and then he does give it to someone else, according to Trinitarian interpretations? He gives it to Jesus. And that's what Jesus is praying for in John 17. See the problem there? It's just not going to work. Because God gives his glory to Jesus, as Trinitarians point out. Therefore, Jesus must be God. But if Father's speaking, God the Father says this, either God the Father is contradicting himself, or the Trinitarian interpretation is wrong. You can't have it both ways. So the Trinitarian, is interpreting this verse as if, I won't give my glory to anyone. I keep my glory for myself. And it can't be the triune God speaking, because we've seen it's God the Father speaking, and God the Father is not the triune God, and the triune God is not God the Father in Trinitarian doctrine. But the truth of the matter is that this verse does not mean I won't give my glory to anyone at all. I keep it for myself. The truth of the matter is that this verse means I won't give my glory to anyone but you. Who God the Father is speaking to. And in the context, God the Father is speaking to Israel through Isaiah the prophet. And the verse means, I won't give my glory to anyone but Israel. So here's an illustration. When a man says to a woman, I will not give my love to another. Okay, you see how that's very similar to, I will not give my glory to another? When a man says to a woman, I will not give my love to another, he's not saying to her that he will not give his love to anyone at all, and he will keep it for himself. He is saying that he will not give his love to anyone but his woman, his fiancée or his girlfriend or his wife. To give his love to some other woman would be to give his love to another. And we're going to see very clearly that's what's going on at Isaiah 42:8. God is saying to Israel, I will not give my glory to another, to anyone but you. Just as a man is really saying with this same kind of language, I won't give my love to anyone but you. God is saying that he will only give his glory to Israel, and he will not give it to another, that is, another nation. So here's where the Bible tells us that this is the case. Romans 9:4, they are Israelites, and to them belong the sonship, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the worship, and the promises. Isaiah 44:23, for the Lord, or Yahweh, has redeemed Jacob, Israel, and will be glorified in Israel. Isaiah 49:3, you are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Isaiah 55:5, behold, you shall call nations that you know not, and nations that knew you not shall run to you, because of the Lord your God and of the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. He has glorified Israel. I'll not give my glory to another besides Israel. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. No longer will you have the sun for light by day, nor for brightness will the moon give you light, but you will have the Lord for an everlasting light, and your God for your glory. Israel's glory. And this is where it starts to become very clear when we look at passages like this one. But now, thus says Yahweh, your creator, O Jacob, and he who formed you, O Israel. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Everyone who is called by my name, and whom I have created for my glory, whom I have formed, and also whom I have made. I will not give my glory to another, and whom I have created for my glory. He is talking about Israel here. Israel is God's glory. He created them for His glory. And He's not going to give His glory to another nation. And here's another one. I will put salvation in Zion, to Israel my glory. Very, very plain. I will not give my glory to another. I will put salvation in Zion, to Israel my glory. Isaiah 46:13. God gave His glory to Israel and nobody else. No other nation. He's glorified in Israel. And He created Israel to manifest His glory. That's what this is all about. And if we go back to Isaiah 48, remember at the beginning we said there was two passages where God says, I will not give my glory to another. This is the other one. If you look at the context of this passage, it becomes kind of clear that He's talking about, I'm the God of Israel. The other nations have these idols. I'm not going to give my glory to another, namely these other nations. My glory is only for Israel. For the sake of my name, I delay my wrath. For my praise, I restrain it for you, in order not to cut you off, that is Israel. Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, I will act, for how can my name be profaned? And my glory I will not give to another. Listen to me, O Jacob, even Israel, whom I have called. Just read that chapter very carefully, and you'll see that God only gives His glory to Israel. And what God is saying here is that He will not allow His name to be profaned. So He's got to discipline Israel, in whom He created for His glory. And in fact, to give His glory to another nation would be profaning His name, because He created Israel for His glory. That was God's purpose in creating Israel. So if He gives His glory to another nation, He's going to look bad. If God's glory isn't manifested in Israel, He's going to look bad, because He made Israel for that purpose. I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to another. He's saying this to Israel. My glory is for you. I will not give it to another. He will be glorified in Israel and nobody else. He created Israel for His glory. No other but Israel. When we say, I will not give my love to another, whether it's a man or a woman saying this to each other, it doesn't mean I refuse to give my love to anyone and I will keep it for myself. It means I will not give my love to another besides you. No one but you. And it's the same thing is true of God's words, I will not give my glory to another. No other but you, Israel. And the scriptural facts surrounding this statement make it very clear that this is what is intended. I will not give my glory to another. I will put salvation in Zion, to Israel my glory. Very plain what this verse means, Isaiah 42:8. So when we lay out all the facts, we can see very clearly that this Trinitarian claim is completely bogus. They're thinking something into the text which it doesn't say. God isn't saying, I keep my glory for myself so I don't give it to another besides me. It doesn't mean I will not give my glory to another besides me. It means I will not give my glory to another besides Israel. Just like we would say, I will not give my love to another besides you. It should be very clear when these facts are laid out that this Trinitarian claim is completely bogus. It's just lame, and it ignores all the contextual facts. And, they're just making this claim and reading ideas into the text by an act of their own will to try to support their doctrine. But as it is, it doesn't support their doctrine. It's very clear that the Father is speaking, which right at the outset creates a big problem for their interpretation of this verse. Because if the Father is speaking and they're interpreting the verse in the way that they are, it means the Father is saying, my glory will not be given to anyone but me. But then the Father gives this glory to Jesus. So you have conflicting ideas there. If the Father's saying, I don't give my glory out, it's mine, I refuse it to give it to anyone, and then he gives it to Jesus, he is giving it to someone else. And that's just not going to make sense. And it's not going to make sense to say, well, if the triune God is saying this, and ignore the preceding context, which clearly shows the Father is saying this, because Jesus is not the triune God either. And the triune God is not Jesus. You can't say, well, this refers to Jesus. That's not going to make sense either. What does make sense is to read the context and the scriptural facts that show us what these words really mean. God won't give his glory to another besides Israel. And another interesting thing about this is that when we come to the New Testament, we find that a certain sign got put up on the cross above Jesus' head. King of the Jews. He was the King of Israel, and Jesus represented all Israel. And when you really see that, you see how all of this fits together with Israel and with Jesus. The King of Israel, and the King represents all Israel. It all fits together perfectly. What doesn't fit is this bogus Trinitarian claim based on a misguided interpretation of Isaiah 42:8. God bless you.